Alright, hello and welcome to another Round Gamer video. First of all, I'll start off with a bit of an apology for not having a video last week. Real life being really busy and probably is going to continue being so for the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to try and do my best to release content on this channel as regularly as I can. Maybe my videos will be smaller than they normally are, but I'll do my best. So anyway, let's get on to the stuff for today, which is talking about TARHUNZ or TARHUNZ. I really don't know how to pronounce his name. I do apologize for anyone who is from that part of the world where this titan hails from. Anyway, we're going to talk about him, and I'm going to compare him with the divine titan NEPHILINIS. And we'll also look at what's in the event as well, starting tomorrow. So let's start with TARHUNZ skills, a detailed skills breakdown as we always look at. So he's a fire berserker, first of all. That's the most important thing to notice, and that of course limits what 5-star relic that you can use. We will also look at the different type of 5-star relics that are now available, including the amber relics that have recently come out. So before that, let's get into the skills. Let's look at what he himself can do, which he does a lot, to be honest. And in fact, when it comes to being a solo titan, I think he can do a lot, even for the newer players. So he's a fire titan. Now that's one of the unique things I would say as well. Remember, there are not a lot of titan in the game that are good when it comes to being fire and being solo fire titans. So this titan actually can really pack a punch, although he's a berserker. So you're looking at monumental 540% fire damage on attack, and he's not a glass cannon because you're getting a 250% health, which is definitely much higher than an X health. So an X health is normally 117%, so this is twice of that, and you're getting 60% base health, so it's going to be really meaty as well. And you're getting a 200% armor on attack, and so he's really meaty, along with 30% melee resist, 40% range resist, and up to 60% all elemental resist when you're using him on attack. So I think that's a fantastic solo combination, and with what that means, the 60% is that if you have one dragon helm, you can quite easily take this titan up to for 200%. Now that said, you probably wouldn't be using him as a solo titan, especially for a high level player. So we'll definitely look at the Grenadier skills in a second. But you know, with that extra AP as well, you're looking at 176% AP for a berserker. I mean, when was the last time we came across a berserker with such skills? So he's got everything that you would want on attack and everything you would want in terms of having defensive skills. So I think, yeah, I mean, TARHUNZ is not someone you can just walk over when it comes to attack. That, you know, yes, you know, if you only had TARHUNZ with no Grenadiers there, I mean, you could probably walk over him with, you know, with Panthers and with, of course, with sort of Zabava level Storm Maidens, they're going to completely crush him. But that said, you can certainly create builds where TARHUNZ could really be a pain to take down. At least it will take you a good few seconds or minutes to bring him down, and that could be enough for the Grenadiers to completely level up, to level everything that you bring to the field. You know, do remember that when it comes to berserkers, they are very quick. Now, if he's got the same speed we see with most of the berserkers, hopefully not the sort of ones we see on Arvan. For example, Arvan is also berserker, but he's particularly slow when it comes to attack. So I hope he's not as slow as Arvan, but he probably is not as fast as HEL, but is hopefully as fast as the other berserkers that we have in the game. So yeah, that will be fun. I really hope they haven't made him as slow as Almirand or something, you know, one of those slower berserkers. So if he's really fast, I think he can move around the battlefield quite nicely and actually deal a lot of damage himself. So, and because remember, when it comes to this titan, he is the sole meat shield. There is nothing else that he explicitly buffs that you can use as meat shield. But hold on to that thought. because there's something I'm going to talk about very shortly. But now let's look at the Grenadiers first. So what does he do for Grenadiers? He's got the exact same skills for Grenadiers as he has for himself, which is really interesting. What that means is that your Grenadiers also pack the same amount of punch in terms of attack, and they are healthy as well. They've got a lot of health and a lot of armor, but do note that as well, that Grenadiers, that even with all that health buff, Grenadiers do have a very low base health to start off with. So yeah, that 60% will definitely help them, but that doesn't mean they will stand on the field for too long. But that might just be enough. That extra amount of health might just be enough for them to last those extra few seconds. So let's say you've got Panthers charging in on them or stuff like that when you're when in the field, they might just last long enough, especially with all that melee resist and that 60% all elemental resist, to just hold off long enough for the other Grenadiers to save them. So I think that's a good setup, and one thing which I always was vying for Grenadiers, which unfortunately we haven't yet seen in this build, is some ability of Grenadiers to not get spooked by other summoning troops and or spells. But one of the things which could prevent that is if you manage to get the Ring of Juice from the last event, because Ring of Juice casts a shield for your Titan whenever an offensive spell is cast. So if you almost have TARHUNZ with that relic and you have all the Grenadiers next to him, you could have a defense against at least, I think it's 5. You get a defense against at least 5 of the attacking spells. Of course, it will depend whether the defensive skills, the shield spell would be cast quick enough before the other skill, before the spells actually drop. But it is something that is interesting, and I'd be curious to see someone try out TARHUNZ with the Ring of Juice to see how that works out. But I'm pretty happy with the skills here, though the AP, I still wish that AP was larger. It's 176% AP, that's great to be honest, but if you're looking at what you might be going up against, if you're going up against levels of armor that is put up against by Rostam, for example, in his horde, you've got 500% armor that you need to contend with, and that 176% with the relics, can you really touch 500? I don't think so. It's going to be really hard, even if it's going to be the case, because we will really need to look at relics that can take up armor piercing. But fortunately though, there are few skills that can help us. So let's actually move on to the special skills. So first of all, you're going to get 5 corrupted Grenadiers on the field, and these Grenadiers come with 400% extra HP, and interestingly they offer 600% melee damage. So what that really means is that the Grenadiers, as the way they are marketing this, is that these Grenadiers, these corrupted Grenadiers, will almost serve like meat shields, and the idea probably is that you move these corrupted Grenadiers around to just act like meat shields, and that's it, because they're going to have a lot of health. Notice it's 4 times the health, and that's on top of what you get for normal Grenadiers, because all the corrupted Grenadiers will get the same set of skills, a set of health stats, etc. as normal Grenadiers. So that should be a massive health pool, and maybe that works out. And now this is 6 times melee damage. Now, just like Spartan troops, which the Ares has, Ares' Spartans, they caused fire damage, isn't it? So here, these corrupted Grenadiers are also going to be causing fire damage. So any sort of relics that you have which says troop damage, right? Horn of Infernus is one. You've got the Prometheus Flame, I think that's what they call it, the one that's going to be in this event that does that as well. And I think Mind Fire also does that. So all these relics will be quite crucial in buffing the damage for this, and it'll be interesting to see whether these corrupted Grenadiers can actually almost stand like, can actually do some damage significant enough such that they're not only meat shields, but actually can take down a lot of stuff. Because remember that melee damage means that The fact is how much of this Grenadier's fire damage actually counts as melee damage. So I'm not really sure of that, but that will be interesting to see. And they are going to be fast moving, so I wonder whether they are even more fast moving than Omega Grenadiers, because Omega Grenadiers also move quickly. But Omega Grenadiers, do remember, have lower health than not even normal Grenadiers. So definitely these corrupted Grenadiers are not going to be squishy, but they are, though, not controllable. You can't control where they are placed, so they will spawn randomly somewhere on the field. I do hope that they spawn on the friendly side and not sort of spawn on the other side of the battlefield, because they'll just get crushed straight away. But one of the sad parts is of not being able to control is that any enemy that you're going up against that has a reactive skill to sort of troops being deployed could mean that these corrupted Grenadiers just get killed right away. So I really wish this wasn't right at battle start and we got to control them, but I think that's the nature of corrupted troops. They don't seem to be controllable. So yeah. Other than that, the other skills is on enemy death. Whenever one of your enemies gets killed, you're gonna get a meteor strike, and I think that's kind of a pointless thing, really. I mean, unless these meteor strikes can really pack a punch. But they do say that if you manage to kill 7 of your enemies, that you can look at getting up to 210% Titan, troop, and spell fire damage. Is gonna be buffing everything. That is essentially taking up your 540% Grenadier's damage to, what is it, 750? Is it? Yeah, perhaps something like that. So your Grens can really get strong as well. So you have to kind of make sure that you kill 7 units, I think. So killing 7 units right at the start is going to be very helpful. And also buffs AP as well. So that 210% can add up to 176%, so you're looking at 386% armor piercing right off the bat. So that is quite useful, because what that means is if you want to get to a level where you can possibly give Rostom's horde armor real damage, or overwhelm them really, you will have to focus on armor piercing relics and get this up. So I think it's a lot of important thing when it comes to creating a TARHUNZ build against Rostom is going to be finding ways of getting that armor piercing up. And you got to always remember as well that when you're going up against Rostom, those horde are going to be charging right up, and you will have to kind of control TARHUNZ and other meat shield so the Grenadiers can stand there long enough to crush the enemy. Now those corrupted horde that Rostom will spawn will obviously be a problem. And what I would suggest, if you're trying to, well, this might be an experiment really, but is to go in with reinforcements. If you go in with 5 Grenadier reinforcements, you could almost consider that, well, all the Grenadiers you take in to kill Rostom at the start are probably going to get killed, but you can run TARHUNZ around, and hopefully by that time all the corrupted Grenadiers have all spawned in the field. And then you call in your reinforcement Grenadiers, and they are the ones that actually kill, because the amount of damage your Grenadiers are going to pump out will probably be enough to overwhelm 700 to 1 million health horde that are currently in the field, that are on Rostoms out there. So and especially as well that not a lot of Rostoms have a very high range resist. So that might help. So okay, so that is so I'm pretty happy with TARHUNZ so far with that. And every 7 seconds, this is where the other good thing is, your enemies within his aura though, so it's very important you keep TARHUNZ alive, that within his aura, you're gonna get 20-second enemy troop armor reduction. So that is good as well, right? So if you can manage to keep TARHUNZ alive, and let's say you have all your Rostom's horde around it, they will lose 200% armor, and that is fantastic, because that means if you can ensure he's alive, you don't need to worry about armor piercing too much, and you can bring down that 500% armor to 300%, which is well within the reach of what you can achieve. Because what the other thing he does is he amplifies your troops AP as well, so you're going to get 200% AP as that in there. So What that means is, if you kill 7 enemy troops, you're gonna get 210% armor piercing buff, and after after 70 seconds, which is 1 minute and 10 seconds, you're gonna get a further 200% damage buff. So 200 plus 210 is 410. 410 plus 176 is well above any armor that's in the game. So when you consider all the special skills, and by clever use of TARHUNZ, that is keeping him alive, you can definitely overpower that armor, that massive 500% armor that you see. So I'm pretty happy with TARHUNZ in that respect, but it is going to be quite tricky to use him effectively, because it's all about being able to keep TARHUNZ alive and make sure that your Grenadiers don't completely get crushed, because I think the first 1 minute 10 seconds of the battlefield are going to be very crucial. Keeping him alive, making sure you kill 7 troops, and making sure that you are making best use of this 7 seconds that you have. So 1 minute 10 seconds, definitely make sure TARHUNZ is alive, and this is where the Shadow Dancer might be the one that you want to go for, because I will talk about that more in a short while. Let's talk about the Prestige skill. So as we would expect from a Berserker, you're going to get a 100% base Grenadier's damage buff, which is absolutely fantastic. So definitely worth prestiging him up to level 1. Not all of us are going to be doing this to level 10. I think at level 1 you're probably looking at 60% base damage buff, which is fair enough. You get that. And now the other skill you get is whenever an enemy dies within his aura, TARHUNZ himself will heal by 12% of his maximum Titan health. So whatever relics that you put on to get his skill health to the maximum, he's gonna heal by 12% of that. So if your maximum health is a million, I'm just throwing a number out there, then you're gonna get him healed by 120k HP, and that will happen 12 times. Okay, and that of course is triggered by you killing an enemy. So remember that you have to kill something for that to happen. So if you don't manage to kill anything, he's not going to heal. So a crucial part of that. But that really means that because it's going to happen 12 times, TARHUNZ with the prestige skill is definitely going to be harder to kill, because he's going to just stand there, and the longer he stands on the field, the more opportunity there is for the other special skills to take effect. Right, now what else can happen is that, what will happen is that at Prestige level 1, your Titan troop is also going to get a fire damage buff, which is again nice. You're going to have more damage for TARHUNZ and him. But if you want to unlock the other skills, which is getting more armor and armor piercing, you will have to prestige him up to level 7 and level 10 so far. But it's 12 times that you can have all of these happen. So I think overall his skills are pretty good. This is one of the Titans where on paper he's absolutely fantastic, because monumental amount of damage for the Grenadiers, and a good meat shield on his own. But is he a one-man army? And this brings me to the point of that, if you look at his skills, all of his skills that you see there, when it comes to melee resist, range resist, and elemental resist, armor as well, these apply to any troop. So what I would be suggesting anyone to do for using TARHUNZ is taking in not all Grenadiers, but maybe go in with the other troop, which is a good meat shield, which is, you might guess, Spearmen. So if you take Spearmen, those Spearmen are gonna get 50% health, but they won't get the 60% base health though. But you will get 50% health buff and all the armor buff, which probably is enough to survive, as long as you can get the melee and range resist. So maybe 4 or 5 spearmen, or maybe 5 or 6 spearmen, depending on whether you're going on a garrison or on a land, and remaining Grenadiers. I think it could work. So yeah, definitely potential. Some spearmen and some Grenadiers. So yeah, I think TARHUNZ definitely got potential. So I do hope that sort of made sense. There's obviously a lot of permutations you can try out, but yeah, I think TARHUNZ can be a good offensive Titan. Here the relics in this event, you got the egg. We seem to be getting eggs all the time, and I think the name that you see associated with that is probably the name of a dragon that this Titan is apparently known to have slain. So egg of Ilyuenka, you're getting some elemental and all troop resist, so definitely worth equipping that on your Titan. So if you put that on TARHUNZ, you can take his all elemental resist to 78%, so 60 plus 78, and if you then equip just one other relic, which could just actually be the Ring of Juiced, you are maxing out all elemental resist for all your troops. Isn't that great? So I think this is a good relic, and Bronze of Kishar will get you more damage. Now, where you would want to use this sort of relic is if you can ensure that your corrupted Grenadiers are not going to get crushed right away, because if they do get crushed, there's really no point in amplifying those. I'm not personally the biggest fan of relics that buff only one type of troop, which is one, in this case, a corrupted troop. But if you can use these effectively, for example, we have versions of this available that buff Omega Grenadiers, and if you take this on against Hachimans, if you build up your troops such that you really amplify the damage for the Omega Grenadiers, you could use Ares very well. But in this case, the Bronze Kishar, certainly if you know that you're going against a Titan that is not going to completely eliminate your corrupted Grenadiers, which, remember, you can't control where they drop, I think you can do a lot with that relic. Heart of Sari, again, another, we see a lot of hearts as well, and that might also be the might be some reference either to a god or to a dragon that has been slain. I think this relic is a universal relic, because the other, although the first one probably is a May sort of skill, because armor is that really relevant, maybe not, but here, this one here is super good, because you're going to get 40% Titan and troop health, and that's 18% Titan and troop melee resist. So I think that's fantastic. I think this is a good one to use on the feature Titan, because you can get that melee resist up and you get a lot of health as well. So yeah, I think the relics are pretty good. At least the egg and the heart I do like as well. This is a 26,000 souls event starting tomorrow, Thursday 12th of November. The first time we're going to see, or not the first time, but one of the rare times, you're going to see a 1.5 boost, but it is from a new Titan called NEPHILINIS. If you have NEPHILINIS, you can count yourself lucky, I guess, that you're going to get a better version of, or a lower version of the Titan. Hopefully a lower version, especially if you've invested all of that thing. But NEPHILINIS is a ranger, so it's a slightly different ball game with that Titan. Yeah, we got 1.4x with TARHUNZ, Uranus, Frigg, and Ares. Personally, I think given that TARHUNZ is available at 22,000 souls, you're not really going to be able to benefit from him as a booster. So you're looking at Uranus, Frigg, and Ares. Between these, Uranus would be a really fast raider if you have him, because he has Omega Militia and they can really crush things pretty quickly. The other one, I think, well, all of them are pretty quick, to be honest. I mean, I would personally be using Ares because I have a second copy at level 48. But Frigg will do a fantastic job as well. Going with all Storm Maidens and, you know, your Poison Cloud, what's that, Poison Cloud, Relic and stuff like that, Void Rune, yeah, you know, the standard sort of setup. Other than that, 1.2x with all 4-star and 1.1 with all 3-star Fire Titans. So regarding the reward chain, you've got Magmator at 9,000, and he's just going to be fusion fodder or prestige fodder for the feature Titan. He's actually one that has 5 Omega Grenadiers. Not a very bad Titan to for a starter, for a player in the start who's just starting out. So yeah, pretty good. You got Warrior Belt, which I believe is a relic from the Ares event. I'll have to check that, but actually I have forgotten to put that in my video. But yeah, do check that out. It's a good relic. Love's Arrow is a good relic for what it does with rage damage, but it's limited to physical Titans only. Uranus is at a very low price, to be honest, at 15,000. So that is a very good Titan. I do like Uranus, so it's a good Titan to use. You've got Horn of Infernus, which is a very, very good relic at 20,000 souls, and it continues to be featured at a higher soul price. Maybe worth it. And we have a new, or rather a rare relic, not a new because it has been featured once before, only in a solo event, Prometheus Fire. We'll have a look at that. TARHUNZ at 22k, and the stretch goals have all those 3 relics. Sorry for that. So Alliance rewards, you've got TARHUNZ at level 40. You can pick up Uranus at 51-200. To be honest, if you want to get yourself a Uranus, you can quite easily get into an alliance that's just targeting Magmator or less, and I'm pretty sure you can get yourself a Uranus for that price. Other than that, it's going to be first 50 places for TARHUNZ. Now, whether TARHUNZ is a defender or not, I'm not really sure, but he could make a decent defender, because do remember that the skills for melee resist, all elemental resist, apply to all of the troops. So these skills apply to all the troops. You don't get the health, but the base health only applies to Grenadiers, but the health buff is a troop health buff, so it'll apply to all. Similarly for armor, so you could create a very interesting defensive build with TARHUNZ, with mostly spearmen, almost like transferring all your relics that you have for Ares onto TARHUNZ, and you could create a good defensive build. So maybe we'll see stiff competition for him. Certainly wouldn't be one that you can walk over quite easy on defense, but one of the Titans I can see quite easily overwhelming TARHUNZ when TARHUNZ on defense is Sekhmet. So Sekhmet should be able to overwhelm all the troops that are in there. Right, so that's one thing. Let's talk about the relics. You got Prometheus Fire there. This again, notice it's got troop fire damage, so this will really help your corrupted troops as well. So this relic can really do a lot when it comes to that. You also got Mind Fire, which also does troop fire damage. Molten Core is a May relic. I really wish they didn't include it. I don't like the relic at all. I think 18% troop health is a very low number. Yep, you get 20% Grenadier's critical, which is quite large, but you can get the same from most of the relics, so another great relic. Horn of Infernus is absolutely fantastic at 20,000 souls. I think well worth the price, because I consider this relic is like a 4.5 star relic, because you get troop damage, Titan and troop fire damage, so this does a lot for all your troops, all Grenadier troops in your game. And you get Grenadier's critical and armor piercing, so lots of skills there, so very good relic. Scorch Wall, okay relic. You get all troop critical though, which is useful, but it's a low at 12%, so that's an okay relic. Love's Arrow is good for the rage damage, but it can only be equipped by physical Titan, so when we do see a physical Titan, and this might be useful in a future Dragon Slayer if we get a physical version, but not too useful for anything in the for TARHUNZ, but yeah, certainly good relic for Uranus. Moving on, here's a bit of a comparison between TARHUNZ and NEPHILINIS, and when I was actually doing this comparison, I was kind of let down by NEPHILINIS, because if you look at the skills, they are very well matched, unless I'm completely missing something here, that the damage are the same, the damage skills are the same. And NEPHILINIS is a ranger, so he or she can obviously fire from a distance. And what she has as her meat shields are these so-called fire elementals. So when you procedure up, you're going to get 3 fire elementals, which are level 60 guardians with 50% elemental resist. So they will kind of spawn into the field, and they will serve as your meat shield. And they will get all the benefits as all the Titans get. But in terms of what else you get for the Grenadiers, I find TARHUNZ doing a lot more. I don't know, unless I'm seeing something wrong here, because looking at the Prestige skill, they both offer 100% base Grenadiers damage. But what you get for TARHUNZ is that when an enemy dies, and it happens 12 times, you're going to get 30% Titan and troop fire damage. And here you only get Titan damage, unless the skill is wrong and I'm seeing something that isn't there. That seems to be not doing anything for the Grenadiers, so that definitely makes TARHUNZ better. and that is not great when you think of people who have pulled NEPHILINIS. But what else do you get then? Well, you get 5 corrupted Grenadiers on the battle start, and for NEPHILINIS you will get your Titan that will get raged up, and you'll get 50% speed buff for 5 Grenadiers, and you'll get rage as well. And that will happen 10 times. So certainly that rage is something you don't get with TARHUNZ. What that could mean is, because it's happening every 15 seconds, you probably are looking at these Grenadiers being almost permanently raged up, and that could compensate for the lack of extra damage that you're getting from the skill. So I don't know. It could match up, but I'm not sure. But looking at what you get 30% all elemental resist for Grenadiers in this case, but you get 60% all elemental resist. So I'm not totally convinced at the moment. NEPHILINIS is really standing to worth the price at 15,000 divine gems. Right, what else do you get then? Every 7 seconds within the aura you're going to get this special skill which amplifies the damage, but in here every time that an ally casts a spell you're going to get your damage buff. Sure, this can happen 20 times. What that means is if your enemy manages to cast 20 spells, now what's the chance of that happening? That this will happen. Now both of them are attackers, so if you're using NEPHILINIS attack, you are reliant on the fact that your enemy casts a spell. So if your enemy is not casting a lot of spells, then you're kind of scuppered, because you're not, let's say, well, he will cast at least 5 or 6 spells, and let's add in another 2 or 3 spells that are coming from the relics. Are you going to get enough damage to match what TARHUNZ is offering? I really don't know. So yeah, I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know. So far from what I'm seeing, I find TARHUNZ doing a lot more than NEPHILINIS. But anyway, you can pause this part of the video, have a look at these at the screen, and let me know what you think. But from what I see, I think TARHUNZ is, can I say this, seeming to be better than NEPHILINIS. That said, if I'm missing something completely here, do let me know. Maybe those 5 elementals are absolutely fantastic and they are what really make NEPHILINIS better. I don't know, let me know. But do know that NEPHILINIS is a fire ranger. He's a slightly modified class, but he's a ranger for all essential purposes, so you'll be making use of all the fire relics that are 5-star relics in the game. But TARHUNZ is a berserker. Okay, so let's talk about the 5-star relics. You got the Shadow Dancer here first of all, which is coming up with 70% Titan damage and 90% Titan health, which is the most you can get from any of the 5-star relics in the game. So what that means is that if you put this on to your TARHUNZ, that, yeah, I mean, that this is probably what you would want, because your TARHUNZ will essentially be immune to any range damage. You'll be will have a lot of health, and maybe that is enough for him to survive long enough in the battlefield, even with that monumental damage that is caused by the horde of what's that Titan there? Rostam, right? So there you go. That's something. Other than that, you got Axis of War, of course. Axis of War offer troop damage, so that's something you would want to use if you just want to purely focus on damage, which though is not the maximum you can achieve. The other relic that offers more is a For Cities Axis, which is a golden relic, and these, by the way, now you can get them for 5k relics, 5,000 divine gems, unlike before. So that will offer more, and it looks like that For Cities Axis offers a nice compromise between the two, because you get 70% Titan and troop damage. It's almost like combining these together, but you don't get the health. So when it comes to health, no relic matches what the Shadow Dancer matches. So yeah, interesting. Now the other skill that you get here is 40% all troop and armor piercing. So, but when I'm looking at the TARHUNZ skills, I don't really think there is an issue with the amount of armor piercing you can get, because we already saw how we can easily pile up the armor piercing. So I think between these three, I think I'm starting to like Shadow Dancer as a relic. But of course, when it comes to pure damage, I think nothing beats Axis of War because the troop critical is absolutely good, and 50% all troop resist against range. It kind of ties in very nicely with what skills that you get with the Grenadiers already. So yeah, I think at the moment I think Axis of War is still pretty good, but I think these two can be interchangeably used for different purposes depending on if you take TARHUNZ as your only meat shield, I think then Shadow Dancer would be good. But if you rely a bit on the other troops, like Spearmen for example, to act your meat shield, then Axis of War would be good. Now on the other side, we got these new Amber relics which are available in the temple as well, and this offers 50% Titan troop melee resist. So while Axis of War offers range resist, Amber of Maha offers melee resist. So that's that, and I don't really know how useful that final skill is, because whenever troop loses health, so but it could be useful if you think about taking Spearmen. If you take Spearmen in and those Spearmen as your meat shield lose some health, then well, they're going to get more critical and more armor piercing. Whether that's really useful, I don't know, because if it would be useful if that actually heals something. But you know, there's something there. But if you only look at the first two skills, that all troop armor piercing is definitely on par what you get with for Cities Axis, but what you don't get is any troop damage buff. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be all about compromising. But I think all that said, I think if I was to rank which one I would want to have on my sort of Titan on TARHUNZ, I think I'll probably go with the Shadow Dancer, because I think I would like to play with having him as a good meat shield, and I can probably use relics to buff up the health of other troops. And if not, I would like Axis of War to be one I would use, and then maybe one of the other troops. So I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. I actually don't have any of the other ones. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. That's it for this video. But lastly, leave you with this last thing here, which is Vixia is going to be reskilled. I wonder what her skills are. These are her old skills, but I do hope we probably will see skills such as a lot of melee resist and range resist, maybe twice the X health or stuff like that. Imperials really do need some love, because at the moment, no matter what we do, we don't see much there. But Assault, by the way, is coming, and which is again a good event to get some XP bottles, and Titan Unleashed event, which is the XP that starts right after TARHUNZ event ends. So save up all your food, all your Berserker food, so you can add lots of levels for your TARHUNZ on Monday. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you found this analysis helpful, and let me know what you think in the chat, and share this video with whoever you think this might benefit. Alright, thank you for watching.